Hello, my name is Dakota Smith. I've been an indie developer for 10 years, and today I'm launching a YouTube channel that will teach you about game development. This course will span game design, 3D design, graphic design, and game development philosophy so you can make the video game from your imagination a reality. If you're looking for a crash course, this may not be the content you're looking for, but I hope you stick around and maybe you'll find a few things interesting along the way. I'm starting with an introduction to the game engine we'll be using for the duration of these courses, Unreal Engine 4. Unreal Engine 4 is a game development engine that implements an archetype of visual scripting called blueprints. Blueprints are a very powerful scripting language that allows even computer science novices to program in a more visually pleasing and, more importantly, easily readable way. We will be covering C++ in this course eventually, and I hope you'll be around when we do. Without any further ado, let's get the boring part out of the way. In order to understand Unreal Engine, you need to understand some prerequisite information first. Like I said, we're going from 0 to 90 on the experience curve, so I'm going to assume you have basic knowledge about computers and zero knowledge when it comes to game development. That being said, I've made a PowerPoint to explain a few things first. We need to know what a game engine is. The short and sweet answer is that a game engine is a translator. We tell it something we want, and the game engine tells the computer what we're trying to do as a result. Game engines vary by design, but this is what they all do. Game engines have pre-built tools to help you convey complex ideas in the simplest and quickest way possible to a computer. The game engines themselves contain something called an API, or Application Programming Interface. APIs are designed like a language in any country. If we learn the API of a game engine, the game engine will be able to tell the computer what we were wanting to do. Think of it as if you traveled to another country and all you spoke was English. It would be hard for you to convey your idea to a shopkeeper that spoke only French. However, if you found someone who spoke English and French, then the individual will be able to translate to the shopkeeper what you're trying to do. Using a pre-built game engine is not the only option though. You could opt to make your own. There are drawbacks though. The money you save in licensing fees from an off-the-shelf engine are usually spent on in-house engine development, usually to make a harder to use product, costing your studio precious time and as a result, money. So here on the screen are the circumstances worth considering. Which brings us to our last question. Why Unreal Engine 4? That's simple. It's free, it's powerful, it can make virtually any type of game with its toolset. It implements a visual coding interface for agility and a C++ coding interface for versatility. And it has the most learning resources available, although incomplete, which is why I'm starting this channel. With all that said, let's get to installation. We will be installing 4 applications, so make sure you have plenty of room on whatever hard drive you're planning to use. These 4 applications will be all that you really need to make 2D and 3D games alike. These applications will be Unreal Engine 4, Blender, Krita, and Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition. The best part about these applications is they're absolutely free, but I do encourage you to donate to Blender and Krita in the event you make money off of them to fund the continuing development of these applications. I'm not sponsored by any of these applications, I just like using them and I think they're an amazing product. Some other helpful software would be ZBrush and Substance Painter, however the cost creates a barrier to entry, so I will not be covering them in this course. Alright, so let's try and get these installed. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to open your web browser. And I have these 4 programs already opened up in my web browser. You're going to want to go to epicgames.com. From there, you want to go to the store and then get the Epic Games launcher. Now you will need a Epic Games account, so you're going to need to sign up. But once you do that, you can download the Epic Games launcher. I want you to run it whenever it's done installing, and it'll take you through the entire process of installing. Once you're done installing Epic Games Launcher, you're going to get a window that looks like this. It may also auto prompt you to download Fortnite. You can just click cancel on that. I want you to look over here at the left-hand tab. You'll see a tab called Unreal Engine. I want you to click on that. Now, over here in the Library tab, you want to click on this. And then it'll bring you to this window. Now, I already have an engine installed, but yours will be blank. Engine version, this plus icon. I want you to click it. Now, it'll probably be 4.25.3 if you're watching this video recently. If you're not watching it, it may be higher than that. Whatever the highest version is, you want to download that highest version. Now, once it's done to launch prerequisites, go ahead and install it and give permissions to Unreal Engine through your network. Alright, the second program will be Blender. Now, to get Blender, you're wanting to go to blender.org and then click on this Downloads tab. It'll bring you to this window. And right now, the current version is 2.90.1. I want you to click Download, and then when it's downloaded, run it. And you might have to get administrator permissions to run these installers. If you must, then right click and run as administrator. Now, when you're done here and Blender is installed, I want you to go to krita.org. That's krita.org. And you're going to want to go to this download tab right here. Now, once you get to this download tab, it'll prompt you with a Windows installer. I'm not sure if this is available on Mac, but I believe it is. In any case, just download the Krita installer, and when it's done, go ahead and run it. And then the last program we're going to do is Visual Studio Community. This is at visualstudio.microsoft.com/vs/community/, and it'll bring you to this window. Now, Visual Studio Community is completely free. I know some of the upgraded editions are not free, but you won't be needing those. You're going to want to download Visual Studio. Now, Visual Studio is already downloaded on my device, so I can't get the installation prompt, but it's nice that Unreal Engine has already foreseen this and made a document on setting up Visual Studio for Unreal Engine. Now, you're going to get a window that looks like this when you prompt to install after the base files are downloaded. Now, you're going to want to click Game Development with C++. Now, this will allow you to actually program and open up code inside of Unreal Engine that is based on C++ and not Blueprint. Now, once you're done clicking on this tab, just click Install, and eventually it will install. It's a pretty large file, especially for an IDE, but I mean, it is what it is. When all of that is finished installing, I want you to go to Epic Games Launcher and bring it back up. Now, it'll always be in this Unreal Engine tab, and in the library, we'll have all your current assets. Now, the marketplace is a place where you can buy assets. I highly recommend not doing that. It's not so much that the marketplace assets are bad. I think most of them are really good. It's just not a good thing to learn. It's good to use when you're trying to make a project, but it pretty much gives the man the fish and doesn't teach him to fish. So you really need to have a basic understanding of Unreal Engine in order to do this. Now, there's another segment of this video that I'm going to add, and it's about machine specs because it's kind of important. Now, this series covers the entire development pipeline from modeling, animation, UV mapping, texturing, to programming. You can do all you need to do in those 4 locations, that is Visual Studio, Blender, Krita, and Unreal Engine. Those are the only ones that you need. You'll see some other icons up here. I don't generally use these 3 engines that much. I'm not actually familiar with them. So usually the only one I use is Unreal Engine. ZBrush is nice for digital sculpting if you need to make really high polygon meshes, but you always have to bake them down because Unreal Engine and most computers can't run them. So ZBrush is kind of irrelevant because Blender also has a digital sculpting palette. And we'll get into Blender, Krita, and Visual Studio in a later video segment. Now, one thing I want to stress is do not let someone trick you into spending money you don't need to. Your capital for your studio needs to be spent wisely. If you want to buy an expensive tool, weigh the cost of the tool against the time it will save you. Just know that expensive tools does not equal productivity. On a related note, let's talk about your machine or PC. We will be going over what is absolutely necessary. My development build is Intel Core i7-8700 processor, 16 gigabytes of 3100 megahertz RAM, NVIDIA GTX 1080 Ti graphics card with 8 gigabytes of VRAM, 64-bit Windows 10 Pro operating system, a 240 gigabyte SSD, a 4 hard drive case with the 4 hard drives, and 1 extra hard drive external for redundancy and backup. I also keep 3 monitors on deck at all times. You do not need this much hardware, but I'll go over each. For a processor, for playing games, Intel is the better choice. For developing games, AMD is the way to go because a lot of the functions required for development don't rely on clock speed. They rely on core count multi-threading, and AMD is cheaper and has more cores. If you're performing multiple actions at once, the more RAM, the better. However, you should top out at about 32 gigs because that's when the return on investment becomes very low. Graphics cards need to be tuned to your ambitions. if you want to make 2D games, graphics cards are basically whatever is the cheapest you can afford. If you're trying to make a hyper-realistic game, go with the best you can afford. SSDs make loading times for the engine faster on restart, but isn't necessary. Any off-the-shelf hard drive will do for your boot and install disk, but one thing is for sure, you're going to want somewhere between 3 and 4 hard drives. Hard drive failures do happen. If you are halfway done with a project and you don't do regular backups on a day-to-day or hour-to-hour basis, this is a recipe for disaster. I suggest 1 hard drive for Unreal Engine and your OS, 1 hard drive for your projects, and 1 hard drive for your physical backups. I will make the recommendation that you get either free or invest in cloud storage. Dropbox, Google Drive, OneDrive are great choices and give you a decent amount of storage for free, so I would start there. Monitor count is based on preference, but I really would not go any lower than 2 with 1920 by 1080p resolution. On an additional note, if you're going to be using Krita and texture painting, you're going to want a tablet. Now, the quality is up to you. It's really up to personal preference. There are tablets that are amazing quality that range from $60 to $150. You can also go all out and get graphics monitors. XP Pen makes a great graphics monitor, and I actually have one of their non-monitor graphics tablets on my desk at all times. And that should be it for this video. In the next video, we'll actually break open the engine and actually take a look at everything. We'll be going over the standard layout that's in the DisplayPort when you open the engine, and we're going to go over what everything does. So just stay tuned. If you like this video, just click like, subscribe, whatever, and I will see you in the next one.